Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Now we'll turn our focus to another sector, and that's the automobile sector. We'll be revisiting some of the issues as regards the automobile policy. And I'm being joined on the program now by the Chairman, Automotive Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Oseme Oyagbe, and of course, I still have here with me in the studio Bismarck Rwani, the CEO, Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Thank you so much for joining us, Oseme, and thank you, Mr. Rwani, for sticking around. Well, Oseme, I'm going to start with you. Recently, the Automotive Industry Committee on the implementation of Nigerian Automotive Industry Bill held its inaugural meeting. Could you just run us through some of the issues that were highlighted?
Yeah, the major issues that were highlighted is the total framework of how the policy will run. And the revival of the policy, and in terms of looking at the moribund industries that have been here. We know that before this time the total production in the country was over 200,000 units from 7 plants, and all the 7 plants are probably not even running up to 2% capacity. So the entire exercise was done to surgically look at to set up a policy, so that under that policy, implementing it, we can now gradually get back to running a viable automobile industry.
But then the policy, was it a realistic one? After the meeting, the issues that were raised and the discussions
the issues that were raised were issues about, in the situation where you want to revive some few issues, you need to look at timelines and how to get involved. For the policy itself, in terms of its content, in terms of employability, industrialization, technological transfer, technology accumulation, and the fact that everybody will look at the policy in content. We had investment timeline, and we had to discuss the details of how those who are a stakeholder, they will not cause an unnecessary rift in the entire public. Okay,
so of all the issues that was raised, was any issue as regards the tariff discussed as well? Because that one is the one that a lot of consumers are very concerned about.
Yeah, tariff issue is very key. Tariff issue was discussed, and I think up to date, those of us who are in industry did not start on the 10th of January as proposed, and I know there have been a lot of outcry from different stakeholders. And so that's why there's a kind of a relook or a rework on the tariff in terms of when the 35% duty, 35% levy will implement. I'm not speaking for the National Automotive Council, but as a member of the committee, I know that issues have been discussed, and this has been deferred to some time, and probably will be at the middle of the year somewhere when the tariff will become implementable, so that all the necessary diversion. But I think bill of lading will still be allowed to 31st of March, and all imports under the old tariff regime before will be allowed probably till somewhere around June. And from 1st of July, I guess we probably will sing the new song of 35%. Then we can now talk about the interface that will be running. But this is not yet official, but that's probably the direction in which we're looking at.
Okay, so let me just hold on to your thoughts for me. Mr. Rwani, the last report from your company, the Financial Derivatives, you actually projected that the cost of cars will go up by March by as much as 41.67%. Why?
No, the last official data and gazette that came out of the federal government said that the implementation date of this was March 10. March 10.
Was January 10.
January 10, okay. January 10, but the bill of lading date January 10, giving them 2 months for the cars to come in. So the effect, but what I'm trying to say is that the policy is a long-term policy with long-term gains, right? To make Nigeria competitive in the production of cars. But the tariff, which is the protection regime that is put around this, is counterproductive. You cannot increase the duty on cars from 20 to effectively 70%, 35% duty, 35% levy. The price of a car will go up by no less than 40 or 50%.
That's new cars or
new cars?
Cars?
No. But having said that, what are the cars used for? They are either used as salons for private passenger cars or used for taxis. The light bus is the same thing. If you use a 3-year amortization schedule, you'll find that, and you've fixed your fares based on the fact that you have to pay back whatever it is on investment within 3 years, you find that the minimum pass-through effect is a 30% increase in taxi fares and a 25% increase in bus fares. If you take that as a percentage of the weight in the basket, you'll find that it adds about 1.6 or 2% to the inflation variable for the year. That, added to other things like increase in the price of gas of 50%, and other exchange rate, you know, the naira is under pressure now, so you have the imported. When you put it all together, the timing of this could be counterproductive.
Now, Oseme, how soon are we going to see local production of these cars start to begin to see how the price of this brand new cars drop to as much as 1.2 million, 1.5 million? Because according to the Minister of Trade and Investment, we should begin to see the first set of cars being produced locally, SUVs, sports utility vehicles. Is that what we should be looking at right now? And how much
I think
cost?
you know, the automobile industry is a very complex industry. Rather than look at it, first of all, it's an assemblage, which means technology systems are about to come together in a factory so that you can get a car produced. But for commercial vehicle, it's only going to have a 20% increase. I need to put this in the right perspective. The proposed tariff increase for commercial vehicles is 35% and no levy. And I think levy will not be on commercial vehicle. That means the buses.
So it goes from 20 to 35.
20 to 35.
Okay. Oh, no, that's an 80% increase.
So, but on the production, there are some agreements that are going on, and it's like there are promises being made by some manufacturer that by April, the Vaughan factory would start to produce vehicles, and also the Chinese, Peugeot in Kaduna, are ramping up their production in ability to produce some Chinese vehicles. So I guess, not speaking for those factories, I guess some indications of our production will start sometimes in April, May, if all things work together. But you know, the issue about CKD collection and importation issues, SKD issues, are just being clarified. What is SKD1, what's SKD2, because there are two in this industry, they all mean different things, and at what level you earn your SKDs or CKD, that gives you the ability to set up a production plan or production plan for vehicle to come in.
Well, also, I'm still concerned, and
by the time,
I'm sure that, you know, because most people, as soon as this news hit the news wires, a lot of people were wondering what kind of car are we going to be able to purchase for 1.2 million or even 1.5 million naira. And I already said it, and I'm still going to say it again. The Minister of Trade, Mr. Olusegun Aganga, actually said they're going to start mostly with sports utility vehicles. And so I'm asking, is that what we should be looking at starting with now, rather than smaller cars that actually make sense for you to pay this amount for?
Quickly, the sport utility vehicle, no matter the sport utility vehicle will carry maximum passengers of 7. That's what the sport utility vehicle. But the buses will take from 12 to 15, and when you go to the HOVC, you have what you call a high occupant carrying vehicles, which is about 30, 40, up to 60. The minister, I'm not going to stand here to defend the minister in terms of his vision, but he is looking at the ability to start off. And I think starting off from one point, we'll get to the other end. Okay. Currently I know too that the production of buses have started at 2 levels, from the Innocent in Newi and the Volkswagen plant also started using the Ashok Leyland platform that are used for BRT. But on a fair view on the entire market, it will be nice to look at producing buses that will carry more passengers.
Exactly, and which is what Nigerians were actually expecting.
But definitely, it will depend on investments. There are a lot of investment talks, but I know that the bigger boys, what we call the big boys, are the big known brands, are very conscious about brand, and they don't want the brand erosion or brand depletion, and because manufacturing under their name will mean that their products are certified anywhere in the world. So there is some discussion with the Asian group at different levels, and ensuring that that's why there's a new investment timeline plan that runs from 2014 to around 2016 or 18, which gives you at different stages what you probably can do to be able to earn the a 2-for-1 production capacity. Okay,
Mr.
No, my problem is that the impact of this policy on Nigerians is going to take a long time how many cars are being produced. There are 16 cars for every 1,000 people in this country today. South Africa has been in this business over a long period, and they are producing only 243,000 cars. Right?
Yeah.
A year. Right? Now, for Nigeria, the impact of the duty and the tariff is going to be instantaneous, and it's going to affect the entire population, including the knock-on effect on other industries, because people have to move. So if you come to work and your fare increases, your demand for wages will increase. If you carry your goods to the market, and you pass it on into the inflation basket, the impact of manufacturing contributes only 5% to GDP in this country, while agriculture contributes 43%. If you increase the duty and tariff to 70% in total, you will create a knock-on effect on inflation and effect on the exchange rate and other variables. If you want to do this, why don't you stagger? If you know that it's going to be there's a timeline all the way down to 2018 or 2020 or 2030, then stagger the tariffs, right, to coincide with those milestones of the production. You can't impose a penalty on the entire population from today in July, and he's talking about July, right? And we have to pay 50% more for our cars, and maybe 30%, 20% more for the buses and all of that. And yet we will not see the benefits for years to come, but we will pay the price today.
Exactly.
The same thing happened on rice. We banned all those things, and now there's more rice smuggling than ever.
So, Oseme, why, exactly what Mr. Irwani has said, why don't we just stagger along? Why do we have to run straight at this initial time?
We had an interface and engagement with the National Automotive Council, explaining the sensitivity of the nature of having anything to do with vehicle. Vehicle is one form of transportation that affects everybody. Even though you have access to aircraft or ship, you will still get into a vehicle, or bicycle, you still get. Vehicle is almost, quote, is almost the only used product amongst all the form of transportation, and more than ever before, it's because of our land mass and our mode of movement. But the context in which they are looking at is that first we must understand one other thing, that currently the new vehicles market is 1/5 of the entire market. The total new car coming to the country is less than 50,000 as of today, and over 250 to 300,000 used vehicles coming to the country, even known. Those from the unknown border and the porous border, which is running from Lagos to Niger to Chad down to Cameroon, are big. So the action the action will be precipitated on the fact that you need to first police some form of structure so that you can have it spread around. But I guess in the vision of trying to draw a policy, you must take a position, and you must ensure that those positions. Our quarrel for some of us in the industry is the ability to monitor, create the right governance structure, and ensure that implementations of whatever policies that have been agreed are taking the right effects. But beyond that, it is not unlikely that there should have been a scaled integration between when you are producing and when you are running it. But I guess in most regimes all over the world, when you want to take a very strong hold on the policy, tariff seems to be the issue. If you go to South Africa, let me just finish. Okay. South Africa that we're talking about, the cost of the ban on the import duty for new vehicles is over almost 100%. Go to India, they're also over 100%. Brazil did the same thing. But while you are doing that, the entire national consciousness must take place, and they have probably well secure borders where people will obey the laws. They will take the governance structure in place, and people who are operating in that industry will play according to the rules. We, as investors, or operating within the new car market, for example, running from the Chamber of Commerce, we are worried about if these laws are obeyed based on the tariff, will other persons who are also part of this stakeholding also obey the law? So that's the issue. I think you must get it very clear.
We're going to revisit this issue again. This is not the last that we've heard of it. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on the program this morning. I've been speaking with Oseme Ogebo. He's the chairman, Automotive Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Bismarck Irwani is the chief executive officer, Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Well, Business Morning continues in just a moment. We'll check up with our correspondent, Tempo Ashajo, who is live at the capital market to give us an update on how the market is looking like this morning. Please join us again.